Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a monster analysis on Frazerot. This is the newest and latest quest monster. So, I'm super excited about this monster because of the speed stat, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. There's something wrong. Kaylik hasn't been home for Christmas and it's her favorite time of the year. She would never have missed it intentionally. Her father, Frazerot, a famous wizard of the Northern Lands, has decorated his ice castle as he does every year and brought dozens of presents for his beloved daughter to open, but she never appeared. She must be caught up in her battles. After all, my baby's a big fighter now, he thought, trying to convince himself that everything was fine. But after a few weeks of sleepless nights, Frazerot has realized that he won't shake this feeling of unease unless he goes and checks on his daughter himself. Welcome to this side of Monster Legends universe, Frazerot. Let us ask around. Has anyone seen Kaylik? So this is Kaylik's father, and let's jump right into the monster analysis. Because life stat 34,985 for a water monster, that's actually the 6th or 7th highest. The power stat 3454, that's not too high in the water category, however that doesn't really matter because this monster is not an attacker. But look at that speed stat, 3652, that is insanely fast. This is officially the fastest water monster in the game. It is tied for 2nd place overall. Currently, the fastest monster still continues to be Mercurius. He is the fastest monster with a speed stat of 3663, however he's an attacker. Next up is this monster and Wicca, the Forsaken Nature monster. So we have ourselves one of the fastest monsters in the game, and let's take a look at his traits. He starts the game with area dodge, undeniably one of the best traits you can have. AoEs won't even affect you. If you get this monster to rank 1, you give your status caster area stamina regeneration, which I think is super useful, especially in a world where your stamina can get drained immediately when a relic gets hit. When you attack a monster and the relic activates, or a monster attacks you and the relics activate. So stamina regen for your team is awesome. And then at rank 3, you get freeze immunity, which will really help you because you're a water monster and you won't be able to get frozen by other water monsters. And now just about every single element has a monster that can freeze. So if you get this monster to rank 3, you will be at the absolute best in terms of traits. But even getting this monster unranked, having that area dodge, super useful. In terms of relics, you can hold the staff relic and the amulet relic. I mean, you just have so much opportunity with this, right? Staff being one of the better ones to either drain enemy stamina or give your team stamina, especially if you don't have that area stamina regen from rank 1. And then the amulet just helps with survivability. So overall, great stats, I would say. Phenomenal trait, I would say, and pretty good relic slots, I would say. In terms of books, this monster is in the Winter book, Good Legions, and Spirits, and I'm surprised they didn't add him to the Family book along with Kaylik. I think that would make sense considering the Monster Legends lore, but maybe that'll be in the future. I don't know. So currently, if you're watching this video when it's first released, the only way to get this monster is through the quest, right? He's a quest monster, so hopefully you're having luck with that. So far, I haven't had any luck with that. But we're not here to talk about my luck or your luck. We're here to talk about the monster analysis, and this is the first time I'm looking at this monster. So tier 1, we have Cold Mine, removes negative effects from itself, spammable skill, 22 stamina cost. Snowflakes, 50% chance of applying freeze to one enemy, 22 stamina cost, once again spammable, has no cooldown. Then we have Splash, deals low special damage to all enemies, applies stamina leak to all enemies, 20 damage, 1 turn cooldown. So the thing I'll say about Splash, this is the kind of skill that could be useful because it is an AoE. If you run something like the Oblation Staff, because he can hold the staff, you can potentially drain enemy stamina with Oblation Staff, and then the stamina leak can take effect and drain some extra stamina. Now, however, you would have to apply stamina leak to the enemy, and just about every single monster nowadays has hardened or a more powerful trait that blocks negative effects. Keep in mind, if you face Megaton monsters, they'll absorb the stamina leak by themselves. If you face other dodge area monsters, again, they won't get hit with the stamina leak. So, AoE skills, they're kind of iffy right now, I would say. Overall, if you're trying to make this monster play in the meta realm, let us keep going. We have tier 2 skills, Ice Drill. Deals heavy water damage to an enemy, applies freeze to an enemy, applies freeze to an enemy, applies drown to an enemy, requires cooldown. So this skill is very good. 45 damage, 2 turn cooldown, only a 16 stamina cost. You essentially double freeze, which is a super high likelihood of actually landing freeze, especially if an enemy monster has hardened or tough or bulwark. And you also apply drowned. So I like Ice Drill a lot. It's also a single target skill, so against those dodge area monsters, very useful. We have Life Recovery, heals one ally by 50% and applies stamina regen to an ally. It has a 2 turn cooldown and 16 stamina. It is just a 50% heal to a single ally, that could be pretty useful, as well as the stamina regen. We have Stamina Drill, deals moderate water damage to an enemy, removes 100% of stamina from one enemy, requires cooldown. 40 damage, 3 turn cooldown, 13 stamina cost. It's interesting how the stamina keeps getting lower and lower from tier 1 to tier 3. Anyhow, I mean, it's 100% stamina drain. That's pretty good, right? And this is why I said it's useful having like a status caster area stamina regen. That's awesome. So you have 2 skills to deal with dodge area of monsters. We haven't seen anything really to deal with the AoE, but hopefully in tier 3 we have something for that. Let's keep going. Frozen Body. Removes all negative effects from all allies, applies immunity to control to allies, requires cooldown. Ah, here we go. This is what makes this monster usable. A lot more usable, I would say. So, because this monster has dodge area from the get-go, area dodge, if your enemy, I'll just use an old example of Ruby, Xero and the Ruby. If Ruby was to do explosion, you know, AoE 2 negative effects, and your team gets denied, thanks to you having area dodge and the effect effectively just missing against you, the skill just doing nothing against you, you would be able to do Frozen Body, which will remove the ignition, remove the whatever denial they had, the mega stun, the double stun, the mega possession, that all gets removed, and then your team gets immunity to control. So it's a complete wipe, and this is really the best way to use one of these monsters, especially if you're going up against monsters that are higher level than you, higher rank than you. The best use of Frazerot, for example, is have you go second in the turn order, cleanse all the negative effects from your team, get that immunity to control, and then your teammates can attack. So maybe next up in the turn order can be your denier. So for example, if you're facing a team that has a 3-speed Ruby with some team speed and strength on the allies, you can run 3-speed or even 2-speed Frazerot and a team speed, and then 2-speed some denier monster with a team speed, and then you can have an attacker. That way you cleanse, and then your denier can actually deny. So just a little tips, tricks, and strategies for you. So Frozen Body, phenomenal move for this monster. We have Frost Dip. Deals moderate water damage to all enemies, 50% chance of applying freeze to all enemies, applies drown to all enemies, and applies stamina leak. So this is kind of cool. Really this is kind of a drown and stamina leak, which would just drain enemy stamina, right? Both drown and stamina leak drain enemy stamina. If they both land, that's awesome. If at least one of them lands, that's awesome. The 50% chance to freeze, I think it was. I don't think this skill is meant to be denied. It's like, hey, we happen to freeze, we're gonna freeze you too. So that's pretty cool. Again, because this is an AoE skill, if you do attack and you have the Oblation Staff, you could drain enemy stamina with Oblation Staff, and then if Drowned and Stamina Leak lands as well, that can potentially drain them all the way to 0. So I like Frost Dip as well. And then lastly we have Frozen Heart. Removes all negative effects from allies, applies torture immunity, and applies life regen. So cool, we have another skill kind of like Frozen Body, except instead of getting control immunity, you get torture immunity and a life regen. So, yeah, this is a support monster essentially, an area dodge support monster, and that's even what it says. You can remove negative effects from allies while giving them torture immunity and life regen, or remove negative effects and control immunity. It really depends what you're facing up with the enemy. You can also drain enemy stamina. Evolving trait is what we talked about. The ultimate energy stream removes 100% of stamina from all enemies, gives 100% of stamina to all allies, so it's just 100% stamina drain and stamina back to your team. I would say, for a monster that only has tier 1, 2, and 3 skills, he's a pretty good monster. Compared to the current meta, I don't know how he would actually be usable. I was just super excited about that speed stat, looking at the skills. It's so hard because I feel like nowadays everything just gets compared to the new stuff out there, and everything is just so powerful. But definitely in terms of trait and skill set, he's used as, he's an anti-meta monster, that's what I would say. Well, not anti-meta, he's anti-deny, because he can help with the denial. So looking at this, let's see. What I would run if I had this monster is definitely Frozen Body. Actually, it would depend. Because I think Ice Drill is a must-have, the double freeze and drowned, and I say Stamina Drill is a must-have, the 100% stamina drain. Alright, so I would say those two for sure. And then you can do Frozen Body, you can do all of tier 3, that's a hard thing. Like, you gotta ask yourself, do you really need Frozen Body and Frozen Heart? Because the cool thing about this monster is that you can have 2 skills that remove negative effects from your whole team. So if your team gets denied on turn 1, you do Frozen Body to cleanse the denial and give control immunity, so you don't have to worry about getting denied. But then you have a denier going after you, your denier can deny the enemy, so then you don't have to worry about Frozen Heart to clear negative effects again. So it's a tough one, man. So because in that case you wouldn't even need Frozen Body. Instead it would be more beneficial to run Frozen Heart to remove negative effects, give torture immunity, and that life regen is what you're after, because your monsters maybe take some damage, so you can get some life regen in there. Because I would say Ice Drill and Stamina Drill, those are your single deny skills, right? The rest is support. Do you need a 50% heal with life recovery? Do you want Frost Drip for that for that stamina leak and drowned? I would say so. I'd say if you're running an Oblation Staff, so this is what I would do. If you're running an Oblation Staff, Frost Drip is a must-have. I would run Frozen Heart, I would run Stamina Drill and Ice Drill, and then I would swap in Frozen Body for those situations where I know I need that control immunity. Because without that control immunity, if I can get denied in the following turn, then I'm going to be in trouble. Overall, I like the monster. I like how crazy fast he is. I love his traits, especially if you can get him to rank 3. But as in terms of how he compares to the current monsters, I think just the fact that he's lacking a tier 4, that makes him harder to use. But that's just my analysis. I definitely want to hear from you guys. I want to hear, especially if you are maybe not in Legendary 4 and above league, how would this monster benefit you? Because I think at different leagues, this monster could definitely shine. It just really depends who you're facing. But with that being said, this has been a monster analysis on Frazerot. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you all next time.